like it looks like, kind of an animation mermaid, kind of glassy looking. That's what I'm talking about. So, who is a spiritual teacher and seal. Her story is about how her fire began in her childhood, burning fast and furious with a destructive influence that almost destroyed her gifts and talents. Yet she remembered her purpose. Colette is an example of how to alchemize fire and pain into gold and wisdom. And she's a lot like Melody. So fire children are not easy kids. They show up as either the wild kid who is loud and angry, attention getters who are often in detention, never trying very hard, also called, there's a word to describe that, it's called being Herculean. Herculean. If you read, the mythology book I have by Edith Hamilton, then the story about Hercules, he was so strong by the power of his mind and also his body. And, he was barely doing nothing. He touched things lightly, but, he was, it's like, of Mice and Men. If you think about Lenny, if you think about, Greek mythology has influence in books, movies, pop culture, and the story and myth of Hercules, bases itself upon Of Mice and Men and Lenny, because he was so strong, but he was so gentle, and he was mentally, R word that I'm not going to even say, but that's kind of stating the fact, and but he was so he loved he was like a kid, even though he was very big and strong, which is just makes him a very curious and very loving and memorable character. Someone very unique. So anyway, who's loud and angry. Attention getters who are often in detention, never trying very hard and waiting until they are old enough to do it on their own. Or they are the high achievers who do great in school and stand out. We endearly call these kids pistols. They shoot from the mouth. Shoot the fire out. And that also comes with the air influence and Gemini. She also has little summaries, on the pages. So let's start with Colette Baron-Reid. Let's begin with her. A very successful, best-selling author, educator, and intuitive counselor, and life strategic radio show host, coach, psychic healer, musician, and wife. She has written several books, created 4 popular oracle card decks, produced 2 amazing albums, lectures around the world, and has done readings for tens of thousands of people. From the very famous to the ordinary, she can sense things about people and connect to those stories in a way that is everyone believing in magic. It's specific, detailed, and unquestionably accurate. Her life is filled with love and service. Her story is one of emergence, from the very dark to the very light. And here it begins. Colette was raised in an upper-class lifestyle in Toronto. Her parents were immigrants destined to be more than survivors. Her mother was Jewish and a survivor of the Holocaust. Her Parisian grandfather was killed in Dachau, although her parents withheld that truth from her. Her dad became a self-made millionaire who came to Canada at the age of 48 with 14 cents in his pocket. Colette was well educated and lived under the strict and constant pressure to perform in her academic life. At a young age, she handled the pressure with an eating disorder and alcohol, being a water sign, being a Cancerian. By the time she was a teenager, she was having blackouts. Scorpio. It didn't stop there. It continued with addiction, promiscuity, and a wildness that is entertaining for kids and nightmarish for the parents. Now, before we go on, I just want to, talk to you about something. Now, what I have been making clear to Zach, that, we don't watch videos or post things with cuss words. The exception to that is if it is a, profound award-winning film, then that's the exception. I know that you'll never pick up those habits. If you see Shawshank Redemption, I cannot count how many times those cuss words are used, and it is a very popular classic film. We watched The Christmas Carol way back in December, the new one, and I don't they were twisting the story to it. I didn't like it, and we ate that over pizza. But we watched it over pizza. But there was some bad language in it. This has only one thing in it, one word in it. But I don't think that those things should close doors for watching new things just because there's one little cuss word in there. Because if there's one cuss word in there, then and I watched Shawshank Redemption, and there were a bunch, and it was a movie. That was very famous. So that means that, given the permission by the we talked about our policies and everything. I had a meeting with them while I was over there yesterday because I was watching the short film on Amuleto, and I thought that it was so fitting for Scorpio. If you think about a normal situation, a normal interview with, a guy that's, unseen and kind of taking on a haunted animal farmish thing, and then very, very gradually it goes wrong. That is the flavor of Scorpio. And I was talking to them after I was done with, Zach's, Great Gatsby recordings. We just read, the first 3 chapters of it. And I would have done that, this morning and this afternoon, but, I was busy with other things on my mention, and I had the, Christian, religious people come here for a sermon that I was putting on, which I deleted, the video of it, but, anyway, so we talked about it, and we agreed. But that doesn't, it's like judging a hat falling off for the whole dance. So, it is called, The Critic. It has a little, the subtitle, which is, so, go to Amuleto. Put Amuleto in YouTube, and it usually shows the latest video, and it has the video that says an actress faces her harshest critic and an interview gone terribly wrong. I want you to watch that. And I want you to write a little bit of a paragraph. Now, Labembe Bellbook is actually doing a solo based off of, solo based off of that. So I want you to write a little post, a little discussion post. I discovered how to do that on my page. Okay? So 4 through 8 sentences in length. Okay? I want you to write, a little discussion post, and I've done an example so that you can see what one looks like, to begin with. So if you go to my page, and you just go, on the main page, tab, those like 2 items called main page. Over to the right-hand side, there is a discussion post, the critic discussion post. So you're going to click on that link, and then you click, post new, and then you can see the discussion details for what you need, and it also provides the example and a rubric shown there too, which is very well laid out. I just don't want to go through it here because, this is very, a quick thing to do. And I just want you to write that, and I just want you to post it. Okay, because this is one of the small things that we're going to be doing. I may find a good short story. That's another thing, is find a good Scorpio short story, because a novel is too big of a deal. So find it, a short story. So sometime in this Scorpio season, you need to get around to reading a short story. Dealing with Scorpio. So something dark, something deep, something Plutonian. And also maybe a movie. So I want you to watch that film, and I just think that it's very, very well done. It does have some, kind of, disturbing things that some of you may be uncomfortable with. But there is a twist at the end of it. There is a twist at the end of it. So just be aware of that. So, if you would all kindly hold your horses, I'm gonna go. What are we gonna eat? So, what specific scenes from that movie, when you watched that short film, whatever, short movie, stand out to you? And how did they possessing that Plutonian energy? Remember that Pluto was also the planet of transformation in a dark way. So it may start out as something and then slowly turn into something else. I think that there was great comfort in, you just picture it sitting, just picture it sitting on your bed or, in a chair with a blanket and with maybe a stuffed animal, watching something that is really gradual, turning dark and really, kind of, more disturbing and, heavy, serious matter during Scorpio season. Think of that good feeling. Oh darn. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna have to charge that because that's running out of juice. I just need you all to hold your horses. Okay, I think this is gonna be my last trip for the day. So, what is this? Okay, I'm not gonna use that anymore, so it doesn't need to be over there. Oh, okay, there's like 5 million cords sitting right here. Okay, I don't know where to put this. Oh, my goodness. Okay, yeah, I need to plug this in before it runs out of juice. So, just give me a second and I will be right there. Ah, okay. Now, going on, continuing. Tomorrow, yeah. So, tomorrow at 7 o'clock, I'd say tomorrow at 7 o'clock that thing is due, and I think that you'll really like that film. Now, if something's well done, if something's, done with purpose and intention and trying to, be a part of a story, and not just thrown in there, I think that that's, understanding for different situations, comprehensionals, because, if you think about Ernest Hemingway's writing style, he was very direct in what he said. He was very straightforward. And that means that, he says it like it is. He says it like it is. So, so the interview starts out normal and then slowly gets personal and it gets invasive, like you wouldn't even believe. But that's all I want to tell you. So I'm just kind of giving you this. Okay. I like people who appear to be normal and then, they unravel with the, the real, plans are, why they're there because, and why they're going after somebody, They're really out to get somebody, is what it's called. So continuing on with Colette's story. So it says, I want you to get your things back out and turn to page 126, please. Turn to that page. Bio children often have issues with food and weight, Sagittarius. They want none, none. They want more of everything. The extra drink, more cake, a bit more chocolate. That is Taurus and Sagittarius. They are a party waiting to happen. Always desperate for escape, Leo and Sag. Then they quit and start again. The perfect prelude for food disorder. I'll play with them. They are extremists. Remember, there was no such thing as lukewarm fire. I mean, if you think about fire, it's hot. It's not like warm water. It's hot. There's a difference between warm and hot. But lava. You think about, if you get a match. Imagine you have a match, and you take it and you light it and you lay it on the ground. That fire starts and then it spreads and it spreads and spreads and gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and it just takes over your whole house. It just takes over your house, takes your yard, turns into black. So, there's symbolism, so the moment alcohol touched her lips, she immediately wanted more. When drunk, she relinquished choice. I feel dirty, she said, so I sought out the dirtiest places I could find, hoping to uncover a place where I could feel at home. Some part of me knew it wasn't right, but I was getting really good at covering up that little voice. Then one night, while her intuitive voices were screaming at her to pay, she should really be honest, right? To pay attention, she got into a car with a bunch of guys, knowing something horrible was about to happen, and it did. Colette experienced a total loss of power through gang rape. Like a sped-up time-lapse silent movie of a baby chick bursting free from its mother's egg, great glowing images scampered through her head, snapping shots of her soldiers tumbled across her closed eyelids one after another. In outright terror, she saw in detail the rapists over abuse, suffering, and brokenness. First-hand horrors that led them to choose a life so vile. Colette would have to struggle to blind the psychic cinema because it was too painful, too disturbing. That really taught her a lesson, those kind of experiences. Few people cannot explain their psychic abilities or their urge to be self-destructive. They are extremely perceptive and outspoken, and these two qualities get them in trouble. As a teenager, Colette was drinking down life at Expressway as fast as she could, fueled by impulsive, out-of-control spiral behavior. After finishing high school, Colette entered college. I went to law school, but I majored in sex, drugs, and disappointment. I didn't know how to express myself except in those real moments when I picked up a guitar and let myself sing. The rest of the time, I experienced frustration and pain by hurting myself. When I asked Colette whether anybody noticed her state, she delivered a huge belly laugh, one that was so uniquely hers. Most viral people laugh and talk loud, and Colette is no exception. She bellowed, "Deb, the usual relationships that I attracted handed me the matches, lit them, and pulled up a chair to watch me burn. Yes, I got attention, but my soul didn't. I was totally driven by the drama, my addictions, and my wounded ego's needs." Colette dated drug dealers, served cocktails in a strip club, and continued to lose weight thanks to her love affair with crack cocaine. She fell in love with a man who mirrored her own destructiveness and eventually, at the age of 26, hit rock bottom. These kind of destructive relationships are classic for someone attracted to drama, as fire people often are. The person knows they are being hurt. They know they ought to leave, but the addiction to danger is at work. At worst, they stay in the game until they are burned to a crisp. And so it was for Colette. She lived in her hell for 2 years. Colette did not finish law school. Strung out, remorseful, and exhausted, she checked herself into rehab. While drying out, Colette's spiky black... By the way, this has to do with that film that you're going to watch. Spiky black hair adorned the head of her anorexic, matchstick thin body. Purple spandex pants cover her legs, and her 5-inch stiletto high-heeled boots rarely left her feet, regardless of mud or snow. It was on one such muddy afternoon while walking the grounds of the recovery center that her heel stabbed the ground and stuck, halting her, um, let's see, um, pill-like trance. She freed her foot, pausing to notice her surroundings. Next to her was a tree, majestic in height, weather-beaten, silent, and strong. Awestruck, Colette studied the tree like an artist would, looking at it for a very long time, and realized that something had put it there, a force stronger than she that was underneath, within, and around everything. In that very long moment, her old world died, and a new one was born. Her unhealthy fire had burned itself out. A tiny seed of new fire sparked, led by a connection to God, to love, and the oneness of everything. This was Colette's aha moment. She severed herself from her self-destructed lover and developed a new, nurturing relationship with herself. She rediscovered her singing voice. During her years in recovery, she pursued the world of music, scored a record contract with EMI Music, and made 2 successful albums. Her recovery healed her Me, Me, Me theme song. She turned to her purpose and discovered a spiritual model and teaching tools to help many. Now, her incredibly generous nature, another vital characteristic, serves others in big, joyful ways through her psychic ability and deep psychological wisdom. She has trained hundreds of students to cultivate their wisdom, to see and use their intuition. Her teachings come out of her direct experience. Fire people are their own authority. They are graduates from their own personal school of hard knocks. Colette mastered the path to a recovery and thereby became a healer. Hence that lyric on trusting your intuition. Now let's turn to Drew and Mila Goodman, both fire signs. Their tale carries a sustained, low burn consistency for over 30 years. They fearlessly followed fate's lead. Unlike the other um, element people, who are much more poised and controlled and can follow the norm, fire people rewrite the norm. So do Aquarians. Remember, air is directly linked with fire. Drew and Mira were circling each other way back in the 1980s when they attended the same New York City high school and lived less than a block apart. They didn't really know each other until they started dating as college students in California. Mira, who is a few years younger than Drew, graduated high school early. Mira's in a hurry all the time, said Drew. She was on the fast track, starting college at 16. She created an independent major called Human Perspectives, a combination of anthropology, philosophy, and religion. During the second semester of her sophomore year, at just 16, Mira traveled to India on an international studies program with a car, a driver, and an interpreter. She visited selected villages to talk with rural women about the benefits of a government-sponsored rural development initiative she was researching. No, but as her research progressed, she discovered that the villages were controlled by the local government and the upper class, who in general were denying access to the poorest women who could benefit the most. Mira spent days painstakingly typing her report on an old manual typewriter, assuming that her insightful research would spark some investigation and resolution. But that's not what happened, because her conclusion hadn't completely validated the success of the initiative. She received a failing grade to ensure that her report would never be submitted. Mira was outraged. The fierce young fire girl thought she was going to influence the Indian government to ensure that their programs actually made a difference for poor women. Women, yeah, women. For the first time in her life, Mira felt powerless. Her tremendous anger and frustration was a turning point. She could no longer enjoy simply satisfying her intellectual curiosity. She felt compelled to take action. At the sweet age of 18, Mira was a revolutionary, angry at the establishment when no one cared about her point of view or her desire to help. Remember that is very Virgo as well. So all the different signs are interlinked. I love that story. It sets the stage for how idealistic and passionate fire people are when they have a goal and a cause. Mira told me the injustice in life galvanized me. Fairness is one of the things that matters most to me. It is a true fire sign quality. Fire people always champion the underdog. Mira was just 20 and Drew 24 when they moved onto their own little Garden of Eden. They found a small farm and in Carmel Valley they could live on in exchange for rent. They knew absolutely nothing about farming, but fate assigned them to become one of the first companies to prove that organic farming is viable on a larger scale. Fire people just jump and ask questions later. Ready, fire, aim. Neither of them had a clue as